Welcome back to Witch Daily. We are doing these videos for our viewers who've asked questions, and I have another one here for you that's really fun, a little serious, but I think it's appropriate for most people who are struggling with these kinds of issues. So I had a viewer who asked to remain anonymous, ask a question about whether or not it's possible to have been born a witch, because she feels that she has been born a witch, but she's had all this kind of negativity from her family and from culture tell her that it's not okay to be a witch. And this is a fairly common issue for people. And if we want to be honest about it, then let's kind of take it apart and talk about it, right? I absolutely believe it is possible to be born a witch. I think that part of the issue, though, is that most people are born with the capacities that we talk about when we talk about being a witch and practicing witchcraft. The difference is that most of us are trained to turn it off. Culture turns it off. Our families turn it off. Any kind of system that oppresses us can turn that off. And if you think about kind of how our society has progressed, we've been in this place where we have revered information and the kind of knowledge that you have in your head over any other kind of knowledge for a very, very long time, for at least 1,000 years. We have gotten away from embodied knowledge, from knowledge that comes from that sense of knowing that is in your physical being, that comes from practicing any kind of practice, whether it's dance or movement or meditation or art or singing, anything that comes from being physical, we've been taught to turn that off. So do I think it's possible to be born a witch? Absolutely. Do I think that people are born with more heightened awareness of their abilities? Absolutely. I've seen it. I've experienced it myself. I cannot tell you, there's so many stories that I have from being a little kid being like, what is happening right now? And everybody being like, what? Like, how could you possibly know that or do that? That's over the top. So yes, totally possible. And children are able to have more connection with that, because if you think about how you come into the world, right, you come into the world without all those ego and personality structures. You come into the world paying attention to from where you have come. So if you think you have come like from infinity, however you see that, then you are bringing all of that infinity with you. And as we get older, we kind of harden around that. And experiences, whether they're good experiences or traumatic experiences, they tend to poke holes in that hard armor that we build and develop. So if you have the capacity for those abilities, if you still have them, then celebrate them. Talking about it with other people is really difficult, though, because if someone hasn't had that kind of experience, it's really, really difficult for them to relate. It's kind of like if you've never been to the ocean, it's really hard to explain to somebody what it feels like to be next to the ocean. It's hard to explain that you smell salt in the air, but it's not negative. It's hard to explain that the feeling of the spray is ever so misty and just kind of touches you ever so barely. It's hard to explain the ionization of the air around the salt water that just kind of lifts you up. It's hard to explain the feeling of sand between your toes if you've never had all those experiences at once. Or how cold the water can be, especially where I live on the West Coast, where Pacific water is like super freezing. So trying to explain having magical experiences or having any kind of psychic or opening experiences is really difficult for people to understand. I encourage you not to try to explain it to somebody. If they've ever felt joy, if they've ever felt enraptured, they can relate. So go there. Say, well, I feel a certain type of joy when I'm in this place. And I know that it's real. I know that I'm connected. And that's all I have to say. That's all I can say about it. Because you can't make someone see the way you see. I can't tell you how to look at the world to see it my way. I can only tell you the way I see it. So don't fight with people if they are questioning your abilities. You know what your abilities are. There are plenty of people who are going to tell you that it's garbage. Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. And just use your self-awareness to propel you forward in your practice. Use your body as an instrument. Don't treat it like it should be avoided, right? Your gut instinct is usually the right one. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, you can be born a witch. No, people are not going to understand it. Yes, people are going to be afraid of it. So what? I know that sounds kind of callous, but there's nothing you can do to change that. You can just develop your powers, and be understanding and aware of the limitations of the people around you. They're not your limitations, but they do happen around you, so you have to work with them sometimes. All right, we are really excited to be doing these videos too with questions and answers. So if you have any questions that you would like to know about your magical practice, please let us know. I'm so looking forward to hearing more from you and continuing these videos in this relationship. I hope you have a wonderful witchy day. Remember that you are the magic.